like to say a few words about Branka's achievements and her writing, her background. She came to Australia from her native Croatia in 1992. She soon found an excellent position at SBS Croatian Radio as a programmer and a presenter. With her knowledge of other languages, she speaks an impressive 5 languages.
And thank you all for being here so much. It's so beautiful to see such a turnout. And so it's funny for me to say, but it's been a long journey to discovering that my mum is an author, and a good one at that. I've always understood her creative mind ran 1,000 miles an hour, building the most incredible imaginative landscapes for me to play in all day long. And as an only child, my mum's creativity was certainly needed, and her ability to create these enthralling worlds kept me entertained for hours. She opened up a world of possibility for me. She showed me how to harness my own imagination and how to spend hours daydreaming or plot building. I would often awake to the furious click-clacking of our Microsoft keyboard, her workstation shared with the wall of my bedroom. I would watch as her fingers would dance across the keys with alarming speed and a look of pure concentration, very blank but very determined. She creates stories with beguiling characters, vivid cityscapes, theatrical and absurd stories, and the most surprising plot lines. Every time I think I can see where it's going, I get surprised. Not even I, who knows her best, can guess where the story will take us. Requiem for Barbara is an interesting one, mostly because it could have been our story. Mum almost wrote a prophecy, and not a particularly nice one. The book follows a daughter, Laura, discovering more about who her mother was and about her mother's youth, shortly after her mother's passing. Thankfully, my mother did not pass. Now I'm going to read the poem Barbara by Jacques Robert, whose words open each one of the chapters found in the new novel, Requiem for Barbara. Remember Barbara, it rained unceasingly on Brest that day, and you walked smiling, beaming, ravishing, drenched under the rain. Remember Barbara, it rained unceasingly on Brest that day, and I ran into you in Siam Street, and you were smiling too. And I smiled too. Remember Barbara, you whom I didn't know, you who didn't know me. Remember that day still, don't forget. A man was taking cover on a porch, and he cried your name, Barbara. You ran to him under the rain, beaming, ravishing, drenched, and you threw yourself in his arms. Remember that, Barbara. And don't be mad if I speak familiarly. I speak familiarly to everyone I love, and even if I've seen them only once. I speak familiarly to all who are in love, and even if I don't know them. Remember, Barbara, don't forget, that good and happy rain, on your happy face, on that happy town, that rain upon the sea, upon the arsenal, upon the Ushant boat. Oh, Barbara, what stupidity is war? What has become of you, under this iron rain of fire and steel and blood, and he who held you in his arms amorously? Is he dead or gone, or still so much alive? Oh, Barbara, it's rained unceasingly on Brest today, as it was raining before, but it isn't the same anymore, and everything is wrecked. It's a rain of mourning, terrible and desolate, nor is it still a storm of iron and steel and blood, but simply clouds that die like dogs, dogs that disappear in the downpour drowning Brest and float away to rot, a long way off, a long, long way from Brest, of which there's nothing left.
Thank you everyone for coming. So thank you everyone for coming in such a large number, many familiar faces and some new faces, and everyone is equally welcomed. I I'd like to express my gratitude to a few people who organized this beautiful event on my initiative that Susan, as she started, opened it for us. Susan jumped on board immediately when I told her I'm having a book launch, so she helped with organizing this beautiful venue. All right. Well, thank you. Well, what is my genre? I have written several historical novels. I have written book of memoirs. I have written books of short stories, but I don't have genre. I write about life. How do you deal with what you've been dealt by life? Especially if you have been dealt a mess. Mess varies from person to person, from culture to culture, from family to family. So the question is, what do we do about it if the only freedom we have is what we do with the life we were born into? I developed well-structured, many-layered characters who grapple with the big and small questions of life. They're always in search of meaning, of reason, love, beauty, in search of home, and ultimately God. I write about love, but I don't write love stories. I write about human suffering, about wars, migration, broken homes, broken heart, broken countries, about broken souls and broken promises. I'm concerned with the big questions of human existence, the meaning of suffering, about pride, overzealous and unnecessary national pride that often leads people astray, about freedom, the shadow self, and all the shades in between two extreme emotions. My characters are lost, often in moral dilemmas, various life crises, searching for the truth. I was and I am a person, a writer, who has always been in search of that elusive bird, the truth. It can show us how insufficient our knowledge is, be it academic knowledge, intuitive knowledge. We are always floating on the surface of the truth, a partial truth, learned in our family, educational institutions, or through mainstream media. Truth is elsewhere. That is the reason why we can't grasp the meaning of complex but simple questions as well. My interests are psychology, though not popular psychology of the New Age, but rather my amazement with what lies deep down in the human psyche that governs our behavior, our choices, and ultimately our deeds that we are not proud of. Then my interest lies in philosophy, not particularly on any philosophical school, but rather the personal philosophy of characters that they develop over the course of their lives. And my personal interest lies in exploring religion, Christianity, and often my characters grapple with never reaching the truth about the existence of a benevolent being that runs the universe or their small lives. Yeah? I write how much we need love, but how elusive this notion is. How it is hiding from us, how it is leading us through mud and thorns that are in the simple human need and wish for always more love. Love. Such a desirable companion shows its face and then it hides, dragging you through tremendous experiences and the sharpest pains to show you that it needs a lifelong dedication to master the art of loving. If I talk about suffering, how many people would lift their hand up if I ask them, have they suffered in their life any kind of heartache, hardship, loss, depression, etc.? Unfortunately, life is about suffering, about search, about growth. I don't want to scare you, put you off, believing that I'm a depressing writer who, like a vivisector with a sharp razor, cuts through life miseries. I show life in all its glory, bad and beautiful. Yeah? Therefore, I write about kindness, where it can take you if you are committed to doing noble deeds. I write about lost but found happiness, even when the tunnel looks like a never-ending black hole. I write about beauty, governed from my inner need for beautiful art, beautiful scenery, of the beautiful or of the beauty of someone's soul or character. I don't paint black and white pictures. I always look for balance in my life and in my writing. I aim to be an objective observer. I observe people, listen attentively to conversation. I soak the atmosphere of place, of a mentality, observing everything around me, thirsty to know and to use all my feelings, to enrich my mind, hence to enrich the minds and souls of my characters when I sit at my laptop for a new story. I write about you. My reader finds themselves in my characters in certain situations. In difficult times, they get hope. They laugh and cry with my characters, and I write to me in order to understand my inner world better. I write about human goodness, advancement, courage, hope and redemption. I live hope and faith. I stir emotions, so you cry and you fear my characters, you pray and laugh with me. I like my brutes, the horrible characters, the ones that you dislike, perhaps just because they have some hidden traits of your own character, so they irritate you. They commit unimaginable deeds, war crimes. Their lessons are bitter and hard, but eventually justice comes and you sigh the sigh of relief, promising yourself that you won't ever again have a certain thought, deed, or shall I say misdeed. Usually my leading female characters are physically beautiful women. I show the price of female beauty, the suffering of beauty, not the shallowness of it. My female characters are as well in constant search, with a need to better themselves, They study life through different lessons, through shallow cliches, cliche word of fashion, the fashion world, through new age movement, through too many lovers, through art, or again, simply through personal suffering. Many of my female characters are sharp and self-sufficient women, while those that are not yet are subconsciously yearning to be elsewhere or somewhere, that all human characteristics and deeds belong to all of us, that our Creator mixed and spread us equally on this earth in His need to encourage humans for the betterment of oneself and of society as such. This book has a long life, yeah? Because I published Requiem for Barbara a long time ago, a very long time ago. It was precisely 23 years ago, in year 2000. In my native country of Croatia it was published first time. And the book received good reviews and interested readership, and the Ministry of Education purchased it and placed the book in all the libraries across the country. The more people read it, the more often I was asked if there were hidden parts of my own life embedded within the story, which Althea was talking about. And people who know me well, my family and my friends, were all convinced that it was a loose memoir about my life. A life that I was, in fact, living on another continent and feeling all the struggles as a foreigner and young unknown writer, building their life from scratch. It is an elegy, a sad story about a young female writer who struggles as a single mother in Sydney without having any kind of help and any family. Hooray. And after the heavy burden of trying and unfavorable circumstances, she breaks down and ultimately falls terminally ill. When I was writing the story, I was absolutely unaware that a similar destiny was going to befall me. Barbara was a neurotic, artistic woman who utterly adored her daughter. She led a very hermetic life where she never let other people to participate in it. When people used to tell me that I was Barbara, that they could recognize me in her, every word, every deed or emotion, I would shrug my shoulders saying, no, I'm not Barbara. She is just a character who happens to be a sensitive writer locked in her own world. I think a writer writes about experiences they have lived through and people they have encountered as this is the ground where they feel the most familiar, hence the most competent. Even when the story is set elsewhere or in a different historical period, the characters will still have traits of the writer or some of their experiences, real experiences or psychological structures in their minds. The majority of readers had believed that it was my own story, even many called me Barbara, but with the passage of time the book slowly went into history and I was called by the various names of my other female characters. In 2020, exactly 20 years after the first publication of Requiem for Barbara, I got asked to publish it again in a different language, in a different country. So the book was published in Belgrade, Serbia. When are you going to translate this book into English? I was never sure if I wanted to translate it, and this story somehow always brought me a profound sadness, as it reflected a time of my life when I was living under a lot of emotional stress and adversity. Plus, I had a feeling that I had finished all my dealings with this story and with Barbara herself. But she was part of me, part of my psyche for many years, and I understood that she needed to live again through new readership. I understood that she was destined to be published and republished over and over and get a new audience, as if she would gain a new life, a prolonged one, or that she yearned to live forever, accessible to many people in many languages. Each chapter starts with a stanza from poem Barbara by Jacques Prévert, as Alfia read it, setting the atmosphere where Barbara shows parts of her personality to the reader. Being a writer herself, she is poetic, otherworldly soul who struggles with everyday living in a common world among the common people who don't have the time to listen to the song of her soul nor hear verses of her poetry. The rest you will find in the book that has been published for the third time, and hopefully many more times in many more languages.
What I like about is the way she uses the English language.
Yes.
In all its beauty.
Yes.
And her sensitivity, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it comes through to her writing.
No, I haven't, but I'm really very, very curious to read this one. She was very impressive. I liked her storytelling, so I'm dying to. I got her contact number too, if I want to get some more, because apparently we can do better than buying them online.
You're talking to Biljana or Jana. I'm a very, very good friend of Branka, and I have read all of her books. I've read this one in Croatian, but I want to read it, and I bought it for a gift. And it's a lovely book. It's a very prophetic book, and when I think of it, I want to cry.
I'm looking forward to reading this.
Yes, I've read that one. It's pretty wild, that one.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long did it take you? Because I'm just looking at all the
Because
names.
I read it for review, I read it pretty quickly.
I believe it's excellent. It's based on history, actual fact.
Oh yeah, it's pretty close to. I
Yes,
mean, the way she
yes.
gets into the mind of the character is just amazing. So,
Okay,
so
cool.
hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
No, this is the first time I'm here. I know a friend of a friend, so I was invited through them. Brazil,
Oh, Brazil.
yes.
And I mean, your English is great, so why don't you go up and buy a book?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I really love books. I'm part of a book club as well.
Oh,
so
okay, good.
Yeah. I'm very interested and very keen to buy it today.
Oh, good.
Marlene Zielinski. Yes, I know. Yes, I know her. She's an amazing person, a wonderful writer, and I'm very happy to be able to get her book.
You're talking to Branka Cubrilo.
I'm talking to Branka Cubrilo.
You are.
What do you mean?
My name is Branka Cubrilo.
As well.
As well. And I haven't read any books, and me and Branka Cubrilo crossed paths coincidentally, and she invited me to come along today. So, well, I actually got dethroned. Only because I was recommended by one of her friends, Biljana.
Yes.
That is a great.
I bought a Requiem for Barbara.
Have you read any of Branka's previous work?
No, I haven't, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this one.
Oh, excellent.
Very big fan, beautiful writing, beautiful insight into the human condition. She has been heavily inspired by tango, that's for sure.
Hi, my name's Eleanor. I haven't. This is the first time I've been to one of Branka's book launches, so I'm very excited. No. I'm excited to read it.
Good.
I've read quite a few of Branka's books. About four or five of books. Yeah. But I read an extract from Amazon, and I think it's got me in. And I've bought a second book because I think it'll resonate with my daughter, whose birthday it was this week.
I think it went fantastic, actually. You saw there were quite a number of people, and they were very interested in what I have to say. I got that as well. When they purchased it, they said, "Oh, like your speech was just you're so motivating." Look, this is my, I don't know, probably 10th book launch. And, I have various publishers, not just one in the States. I did that in Europe. And so challenging, yeah, well, it is challenging because, it's a big preparation, big organization. You never know how many people will turn up. You invite certain number and you're not sure whether everyone always says, yes, I would love to. But, turnout was very, very, large number. Yeah, I think almost every person that we invited came this afternoon. So, yeah, I'm quite happy, very pleased.
Yeah, good.